So my name is Tala and I'll be giving you a quick tour about the Iraqi Pavilion and the historical background of Iraq. So our pavilion is actually all outdoors to promote sustainability. If you look behind you, there's these dots or spots on the ground. This is actually the map or the outline of Iraq and the base of our pavilion. On the left and right, you have Tigris and Euphrates, which are the two main rivers located in Iraq. Hence the name Mesopotamia, which means the land between two rivers. First of all, you have Ishtar's Gate, which was built in 575 BC by the king Nebuchadnezzar II, and he gifted it to the Babylonian goddess Ishtar, thus the name Ishtar's Gate, and it's one of the 8 gates towards the old Babylonian city. Moving on to Alwiyat Samara, which is composed of 2 words. Alwiyat means spiral in Arabic, as you can see from the infrastructure of the building. It is rotating in an anti-clockwise manner. And the second word, Samara, is where it's located and based on Samara in Arabic. It's composed of 5 stories, 399 steps, and 52 meters in height. And at the top is actually a concave room where prayers used to be called for back in the Abbasid period. As you can see, the height of the screen fluctuates from beginning to end, indicating the water level in each of these meters. So it starts high in the north and it's gradually decreasing in the south, meaning that we have reached the marshes, which are water bodies located in lowland of Iraq. In 2016, it became a World Heritage Site as per UNESCO, which brings me back to the idea behind the rooftop of our pavilion, which is actually a fisherman throwing his fish net on top of the mount to shield us. Let's take a break from the historical monuments and talk about the current historical events and happenings where the Pope or Pope Francis actually visited Iraq recently in hopes of encouraging tolerance, peace, unity, and of course coexistence among the Iraqi people and the Middle East in general. Moving on to the capital of Iraq, Baghdad, where we have the Martyrs Monument, which was built in 1983 to commemorate the martyrs or soldiers that passed away during the Iraqi wars. And until this day, it's been used to symbolize the amount of grief that the Iraqi people are going through. Underneath this historical monument is a museum of each and every single one of these martyrs' names engraved on the walls. Mesopotamia is the oldest civilization to ever exist, as we discovered so many things, including astrology, writing, and recording. If you're interested, there's an art gallery located straight ahead. Otherwise, you have a stage to the right. Thank you so much for coming.
Das wollen wir später.
طبعا المباراة بسيطة.
story of writing, astronomy, and law. The story of civilization itself begins in one place. Not Egypt, not Greece, not Rome, but Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia is an exceedingly fertile plain situated between the Tigris and the Euphrates rivers. For 5 millennia, this small strip of land situated in what is today Iraq, Kuwait, and Syria fostered innovations that would change the world forever. Inhabited for nearly 12,000 years, Mesopotamia's stable climate, rich soil, and steady supply of fresh water made it ideal for agriculture to develop and thrive. About 6,000 years ago, seemingly overnight, some of these agricultural settlements blossomed into some of the world's first cities. In the period between 4000 and 3100 BC, Mesopotamia was dotted with a constellation of competing city-states. At one point, they were unified under the Akkadian Empire and then broke apart, forming the empires of Assyria and Babylon. Despite near constant warfare, innovation and development thrived in ancient Mesopotamia. They built on a monumental scale, from palaces to ziggurats. Mammoth temples served as ritual locations to commune with the gods. They also developed advanced mathematics, including a base 60 system that created a 60-second minute, a 60-minute hour, and a 360-degree circular angle. The Babylonians used their sophisticated system of mathematics to map and study the sky. They divided one Earth year into 12 periods. Each was named after the most prominent constellations in the heavens, a tradition later adopted by the Greeks to create the zodiac. They also divided the week into 7 days, naming each after their 7 gods, embodied by the 7 observable planets in the sky. But perhaps the most impactful innovation to come out of Mesopotamia is literacy. What began as simple pictures scrawled onto wet clay to keep track of goods and wealth developed into a sophisticated writing system by the year 3200 BC. This writing system would come to be called cuneiform in modern times and proved so flexible that, over the span of 3,000 years, it would be adapted for over a dozen different major languages and countless uses, including recording the law of the Babylonian king Hammurabi, which formed the basis of a standardized justice system. But Mesopotamia's success became its undoing. Babylon in particular proved too rich a state to resist outside envy. In 539 BC, the Persian king Cyrus conquered Babylon and sealed his control over the entirety of Mesopotamia. For centuries, this area became a territory of foreign empires. Eventually, Mesopotamia would fade, like its kings, into the mist of history, and its cities would sink beneath the sands of Iraq. But its ideas would prevail in literacy, law, math, astronomy, and the gift of civilization itself.